Well, let's talk about the China thing. So here's what was not brought up by our good people that at PBS that are funded by the Koch brothers who make a lot of money from fossil fuels. China and Russia just approved a Siberian pipeline for Russian oil to go to China.
Uh-oh.
Weird. China, the biggest consumer of oil on the planet now. And they're also, China has said, we're not using the petrodollar anymore. We're going to use the whatever their currency is called, the yuan or whatever.
Right. Okay.
So isn't that weird? Anytime somebody says we're not using the petrodollar, they become an enemy.
Right.
Remember when Iran did that? And then all of a sudden Netanyahu's just on stage going, I saw that on RT last week because I don't know that the corporate media in the States is reporting it. So RT reports it, and I'm like, oh, wow. All of a sudden, China's military this, and they're attacking us here. And I'm not excusing any of the totalitarian stuff China does. But we like to back countries into a corner to force them to fight us so that we can say, oh, we have to defend the world.
Right.
And the real reason, as is the case with Syria, as is the case with Iran, as is the case with Venezuela, it's goddamn oil or some stupid pipeline. So they are saying Russia and China, and I can't blame them for this, are going, fuck the United States. They think they can control everything. And so we're getting our own. Russia has its own oil. I don't want to see this pipeline as an environmentalist that's afraid of the human race getting wiped out from climate collapse.
Purist.
I know. I'm a wacky purist. I should just be a little more pragmatic and just know that we'll probably lose most of the population, but we'll do it.
Andrew Yang's going to put them on higher ground, and then we'll reduce our oil dependency by like 2050 or so. And there will be gas emission standards that Amy Klobuchar is.
They're talking about carbon offsets and, and raising gas mileage standards. Fantastic plans if it's 1982, Ron. Yeah. Fantastic. Like, I'm watching a Republican debate.
Listen, Amy Klobuchar's grandfather had a fuel-efficient car, and he would drive that fuel-efficient car.
Oh, God. You know what? My dad was an immigrant. We all had parents and grandparents, and they all had jobs. Okay? Most of them were immigrants, unless you're Native American. So, enough with that folksy, pre-planned focus group bullshit. So anyway, that's what the China thing is all about. That's why China is now to the top of the enemy list. Because Russia's main export is oil. And they're selling it to China, the number one consumer in the world. And because Saudi Arabia does whatever we tell them to do, because we let them, treat women like, dogs and chop up journalists. And they can bomb countries like Yemen as long as we get their oil and they buy our weapons.
Right.
So Saudi Arabia is not going to sell. They're not going to sell oil to China, so they have to get it somewhere. What we could do if we had a leader like with a real serious Green New Deal is go to these countries and say, guess what? We're going green. We're getting off of oil. You do too. Let's work together. I don't want to see this pipeline happen because it's bad. China, 1.5 billion people burning oil is not good for the planet.
Oh, yeah.
They have a serious smog problem.
No, they have a serious smog problem. We're starting to get it here. I mean, here in California, it's like our oceans are like 30% more acidic than like all the other oceans right now. And it's,
Fukushima in Japan just released all that radioactive water.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need more pipelines. We don't need... Oh, they were talking about nuclear power on the goddamn stage? Oh.
Yeah, we needed a Green New Deal last week.
Yeah.
And, we don't have a choice. I mean, that's why... That was another good moment Bernie had when he was just like, yeah, we're looking at the fate of the planet for our children and our grandchildren. We want to have a planet. He was the only one that actually said that. The rest of them were like, well, fuel standards and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, we'll be pragmatic. And he was just like, no, it's the planet. It's the fate of us on this planet.
It's unreal. It's just like literally like they're the opioid epidemic. They want to, give everybody an aspirin.
We'll have a bake sale.
Yeah, we'll have a bake sale and everybody gets an aspirin and a Band-Aid. And we'll move you to higher ground. Fuck. Bold leadership, assholes. If you don't have a bold plan, I'm serious. Get the fuck out of the race. I'm talking to every single one on that stage. If you don't have a bold plan and you're not willing, you know how they put a man on the moon? They said, scientists said, I don't know, it looks hard. And they said, figure it out.
Yeah.
The leaders went, figure it out. But it's going to be hard. I don't know. And they had a team of mathematicians and scientists working on this.
Well, so this one's even easier because a bunch of scientists are like, here's what we can do. Here's what we can do. The good news is we can do something. We're just behind schedule. Here's a bunch of stuff we can do. Let's get to work. And government's just like, meh.
Well,
meh.
It's like, here's stuff that is already in place and working. It just needs funding on a mass scale.
Right.
I just did a story. They found a way that these scientists in Sweden of thermal. I'm not a scientist, so I'm going to screw this up. CNN reported this of solar panels because battery storage is the big issue with renewables, right? Mm-hmm. Where do we store it? When it's a sunny day, it's when we're generating all this sun and we don't need as much electricity. Where does it go? How do we store it? Well, we need to update our grid is 70 years old, and we need more battery storage. Well, battery, we know this from these and computers. This is just research and money. We put all this billions of dollars into making these because it's a competitive market. That's why this is more powerful than the computer that sent a man to the moon. Right. So they found this water that can store thermal energy for up to 18 years. A liquid battery, basically.
But how are we going to pay for it?
I know how we're going to pay for it.
How are we going to pay for that?
I don't know. Should we just have 188 Democrats vote to give money for it? Or did they already give the money for war and so we don't have any money left?
They gave them like $12 or something like that. It wasn't a lot. It wasn't like billions or anything like that, I don't think.
Wow.
Couldn't be.